Well, it's the day after, and Donald Trump facing some mixed reaction to his foreign policy speech from yesterday. Republicans trying to sort through it, particularly the core Washington establishment types. This is Trump also refusing now to rule out using nuclear weapons against ISIS. So is he heading in the right direction on foreign policy? Joining us, Louise Mensch, Christian Whiten, Lisa Booth, and Steve Rogers. Christian Whiten, you're a foreign policy expert. What's your assessment of the speech and also today the idea of perhaps using nukes against ISIS?
Well, it's a very Donald Trump speech and a very Donald Trump statement about nukes today. It's sort of a lot of slogans and bumper stickers that were strewn together in a speech that actually didn't make much sense. It was a very contradictory speech. He said he wants to defend the West, but he also wants to be very harsh with our allies. He says he wants to get tough with radical Islam, and he says a few bad things about the Iran nuclear deal, but ultimately he would just enforce strictly Obama's Iran deal. That's impossible. You can't get tough on radical Islam and continue the accommodation of the Iran deal that Hillary and Obama started. And finally, I'd say that a lot of what was in the speech sounds a lot like Hillary Clinton. It would be very hard to differentiate from Hillary in the general election. Can you give me one example? His policy on ISIS is basically hers, and the policy on Russia is basically hers, too.
Steve, you know the foreign intelligence and foreign policy very well, and you're a strong Trump supporter. Were you happy with the speech?
I was. Donald Trump projected leadership. He's sending a very clear, unmistakable message, unlike the President of the United States, that he will, if necessary, use the weapons that are necessary to take them out. Look, we need a president who's going to stand strong, like Winston Churchill. And you know as well as I do that Churchill was the most criticized man on the face of the earth and grew to be one of the greatest leaders on the face of the earth. So that's the road Trump is taking, and he's going to make America great again.
That was well played. He checked you with Churchill before you could even critique.
Exactly.
Well, let me tell you something about Winston Churchill. He would not have been pandering to Iran the way that Donald Trump is. I mean, let's get real. This is a guy who wants to continue the failed democratic policies of Barack Obama, a guy who's on record saying Bill Clinton had a fantastic presidency, much better than George W. Bush. Again, delegates aren't going to forget that.
Louise,
America's allies, they look at the foreign policy speech, you're going to use a nuclear weapon against ISIS. How are you going to do that?
I know.
ISIS aren't a nation state. You're going to blow up Syria? Is that what you're going to do?
When Donald Trump says that a great country also takes care of its warriors, that we should never enter agreements that allow us not to control our own affairs. I mean, these are things that resonate with the American public. And it should resonate with Europeans, by the way. I remember when Iran took those British ships a few years ago, maybe 10 years or so ago, and they kind of had to go to Brussels for permission to try to get them back. That was embarrassing.
Right, well, I don't know about British ships. I remember where they took the American ship just recently, and they made the American woman sailor wear a hijab. And what did President Obama do? Absolutely nothing. And what's Donald Trump going to do about it? Continue the Iran deal that Ted Cruz will cancel on day one. He just said he was going to continue it.
The reason why we are in the state of affairs we are in today is because we have weak leadership in this country. We have to project.
So you're going to continue Barack Obama's policies. Your idea of leadership is we will bow to Iran.
My idea of leadership is getting the NATO countries, including Great Britain, to get on board again with the United States and to strike at the enemy.
As though we have not.
Let me bring in Lisa. Overall, I think I heard a lot of people say it was a good first step. And what do you think?
Well, and I'll let the foreign policy buffs duke it out over the substance part of it. But politically speaking, look, this is Donald Trump trying to take a step towards substance, trying to prove to the establishment. Because if you look among the Republican Party, foreign policy is a top issue. It always has been. It's a number two, number three issue for many Republicans. So this is a step for him to try to coalesce the Republican Party. Because if he is going to be the presumptive nominee, which it looks like he's most certainly heading in that direction, he needs to put some policy or substance down on the table and win over some of these Republicans and coalesce the party. I mean, Chairman Bob Corker of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the Senate gave it a positive nod. But these are the sort of things, the steps that he's going to have to take to try to coalesce the party and prove to them, I'm a serious actor, I'm going to be a serious president, and I can represent the Republican Party.
Yeah, Corker's more or less saying it was a good first step.
Right.
So, all right, guys, let's leave it there. Once again, very spirited. I appreciate that. There's a new Tennessee law just came out today, or it was approved today, that allows therapists and counselors to decline serving clients if it violates their beliefs. Wow, we've got a lot of this going on. Dr. Keith Ablow, he's going to join me, and we can't wait to hear his opinion on it. That's next.